In 1915, Charles W. McConaughey promoted construction of an irrigation project in south-central Nebraska by saying, "When I have seen for weeks great volumes of water rolling down the Platte in the flood season to become a nuisance in the lower Mississippi, and when I have seen the semi-arid land in our counties thirsting for water during the growing season, my heart has been set on fire with a vision of what Nebraska can be if a combined effort was made by its citizens to bring irrigation to our region." Lack of a reliable source of water was the most critical limiting factor during the first few decades of the 20th century that prevented the fertile soils of south-central Nebraska from yielding abundant crops, until McConaughey's dream became a reality. The Platte River begins in northern Colorado at the foot of the Rocky Mountains. Melting snow trickles into several small creeks that converge to form the headwaters of the North Platte River. The U.S. Bureau of Reclamation operates reservoirs on the North Platte River to serve irrigated lands in eastern Wyoming and western Nebraska. But water was often not available for irrigation in the central Platte Valley, particularly later in the growing season, because there were no reservoirs in Nebraska to store water for use when it was most needed. That changed with the creation of the Central Nebraska Public Power and Irrigation District in 1933. Led by a publicly elected board of directors, Central built, owns, and operates the huge project that brings irrigation water to the often parched fields of the Platte Valley, generating hydroelectric power along the way. Construction of Kingsley Dam began in 1936 after President Franklin D. Roosevelt approved funding for the project, and the new reservoir, aptly named Lake McConaughey, began to fill in 1941. At the time of its construction, Kingsley Dam was the second largest hydraulic fill dam in the world. It was named for Fred Kingsley, a staunch supporter of efforts to bring irrigation to south-central Nebraska. Construction began with a wall of interlocking steel sheet piling driven to bedrock across the North Platte River to prevent water from seeping beneath the 3.5-mile-long dam. Dredges then pumped sand and gravel from the riverbed on either side of the dam to form the sides. While the dam was rising, a mixture of clay and water was pumped into the middle of the structure to form a watertight core. The dam's face is protected by more than 1 million tons of rock and more than 180,000 concrete jackstones. The dam forms a reservoir that, when full, is 22 miles long, covers more than 30,000 acres, and can store more than 1.7 million acre-feet of water. Return flows to the river from irrigation projects in eastern Wyoming and western Nebraska are the primary source of Lake McConaughey's water supply. Nebraska's largest reservoir provides storage water to irrigate, either directly from canals or indirectly through wells enhanced by groundwater recharge, more than 500,000 acres in the Platte River Valley. It is this storage water upon which Central's project depends. Lake McConaughey is also one of the most popular recreation spots in Nebraska. On average, almost 1 million visitor days are spent at the lake. Big Mac offers natural white sand beaches, excellent fishing, boating, camping, and other outdoor recreation. The lake also provides abundant habitat for fish and wildlife. More than 300 different species of birds have been sighted in the Lake McConaughey area. Least terns and piping plovers, 2 birds protected by the Endangered Species Act, are among these species, nesting each spring on the lake's beaches. Water is released from the reservoir through the outlet tower, a 185-foot tall structure with gates at the bottom of the lake. Water passes through a penstock 20 feet in diameter to the Kingsley Hydro Plant, which controls flows out of the reservoir. The Morning Glory Spillway is the reservoir's flood control structure. Its 12 gates are raised only if necessary to evacuate large volumes of water. The Kingsley Hydro Plant was added to the project in 1984 to help meet Nebraska's growing demand for electricity. The immense spray of water emitted from the bypass valve is a noted feature of the plant during the summer months. Although designed for releases from the reservoir when the hydro plant is offline, the valve is now also used during the summer to aerate water and maintain dissolved oxygen levels to benefit Lake Ogallala's trout fishery. Lake Ogallala was formed when sand and gravel were pumped from the riverbed during construction of the dam. The small lake has a reputation as an excellent trout fishery because of the cold water entering the lake from the bottom of Lake McConaughey. During the winter months, Central opens an eagle viewing facility to allow the public to watch dozens of bald eagles fish in the ice-free water below the hydro plant. The Keystone Diversion Dam, owned by the Nebraska Public Power District, is located at the eastern end of Lake Ogallala. Central and NPPD closely coordinate water operations for the benefit of irrigation, hydroelectric power production, cooling water for the Gentleman Station Power Plant, and wildlife habitat. Central's diversion dam is located across the Platte River, 50 miles east of Kingsley Dam. The 900-foot-long concrete and steel structure diverts water into Central's 75-mile-long supply canal, which carries water through 3 hydro plants and more than 20 small lakes on its way to the irrigated area. The 3 hydro plants that were part of the project's original construction, Jeffrey Hydro Plant south of Brady, and the Johnson No. 1 and No. 2 hydro plants near Lexington, helped spur the development of public power in Nebraska, the only state in the nation served entirely by public power entities. Originally manned around the clock, the 3 hydro plants were automated in the early 1970s and are operated from the Gothenburg Control Center. Each turbine generator unit can be brought online within 2.5 minutes and up to full load within another 2.5 minutes. The 113 megawatts of electricity generated by all 4 of Central's hydro plants is enough to meet the residential needs of a city of 90,000 people. The reservoirs above the supply canal hydro plants, Jeffrey Lake and Johnson Lake, help maintain the necessary elevation between the water surface and the plant's turbines to provide efficient electrical generation. However, the lakes have also been developed for recreational activities. The Gothenburg Control Center went into operation in 1972 when 24-hour remote supervisory monitoring and control was established over the diversion dam, the supply canal hydro plants, and control structures along the supply canal. Since that time, many other facilities have been added to the Control Center's list of monitored and controlled structures, including Kingsley Hydro, NPPD's Keystone Dam and Canal Head Gates, and more gate structures along the irrigation canals. Communication is the key to such an automated system. Central has its own microwave system, supplemented by buried fiber and UHF radio links. All information gathered at remote terminal units is fed into the Control Center's computers. There are more than 1,200 alarm, control, or telemetering points on the system, which monitor and control the functions of gates, hydro plants, and pumps. The Control Center's computers are programmed to receive data, check for alarm conditions, and alert operators to any abnormal readings. Through the years, irrigation has been referred to as the lifeblood of Nebraska's economy. With more than 8.5 million acres under irrigation in Nebraska, the state is among the nation's leaders in irrigated agriculture. Quite simply, irrigation makes it possible to consistently achieve bountiful crop yields in a state that was once referred to as part of the Great American Desert. Advances in pump technology and irrigation equipment made it possible for Nebraska to place many more acres under irrigation, but surface water retains an important role in meeting the demand. Central operates the state's largest irrigation project and is constantly making improvements to enhance operational efficiency. The irrigation project has long been operated as a conjunctive use system, providing benefits for both surface water users and groundwater supplies. Central's irrigation canals, laterals, and pipelines deliver storage water from Lake McConaughey to its customers, many of whom also use irrigation wells, while also helping to recharge the area's groundwater supplies. An increase in the water table in Central's service area has also helped base flows in the Platte River as well as the Republican River to the south. Over recent decades, development of groundwater wells above Lake McConaughey, which intercept return flows to the North Platte River that comprise most of the reservoir's inflows, as well as improvements in irrigation efficiency and climatic factors, have combined to significantly reduce average annual inflows to the Big Lake. Central and its irrigation customers continue to implement conservation measures to extend the reservoir's water supply. Through the years, many advancements have been made. Lath boxes and canvas dams gave way to siphon tubes. Siphon tubes were replaced by gated pipe. And now more efficient center pivots and subsurface drip systems are delivering water from the canals and pipelines to the fields. The E65 canal begins near the inlet to Johnson Lake. It delivers water to crops north of Bertrand and Loomis and conveys storage water from Lake McConaughey to Elwood Reservoir, which was added to the project in 1976 to improve service to irrigation customers. Water is pumped into the lake through the Carl T. Curtis pump station and allowed to flow back out when needed for irrigation. In addition, The Nebraska Game and Parks Commission stocks several species of fish in the lake, making Elwood Reservoir a fishing hotspot. The next main irrigation canal begins just below Johnson Lake. The E67 canal was added to the project in 1954 to serve several thousand acres northeast of Elwood that lacked access to groundwater. Central completed an improvement project in 2002 that replaced most of the system's open laterals with 18 miles of buried pipeline. The remaining canal was lined with a synthetic membrane to prevent seepage losses. Today, more than 95% of the water diverted into the E67 canal is delivered to customers' turnouts. The Phelps Canal is the largest and longest of Central's irrigation canals, serving land from northwest of Holdridge to the Minden area. The canal has also undergone modernization and improvements such as the addition of automated check gates, pipelines, and membrane lining to improve conveyance efficiency and enhance the conjunctive use aspect of water deliveries. U.S. Senator George Norris, a staunch ally of the project, pulled the switch to bring the Jeffrey Hydro Plant online for the first time in 1941. As the turbine began to spin, he said, "Here, for the first time, we're going to put the Platte River's water to use for the benefit of Nebraska, for the benefit of us all, to moisten our soil and to produce electricity." Even Senator Norris could not have foreseen the enormous impacts. Since first bringing water to south central Nebraska and generating the electrical power that helped the state's farms and communities grow, Central's hydro irrigation project has provided multiple benefits to the people and landscape of Nebraska. Irrigation, drought protection, hydroelectric generation, economic prosperity, power plant cooling, recreational opportunities, groundwater recharge, and fish and wildlife habitat. Everything that C.W. McConaughey once dreamed of, and much more.